This is the Extra Point Podcast from Arizona's family.
All right, we're all ready to watch history here in Major League Baseball. Can Aaron Judge do it tonight? When is Aaron Judge going to tie Maris? When is he going to pass Maris? And how many home runs will he finish with? Let's get the perspective of a historian, Peter Golenbock, who wrote so many baseball books, The Bronx Zoo. We could actually name all of your books, but that might take the entire podcast. So, first of all, just how are you doing? It's been a while since we talked. How much are you enjoying kind of September baseball here?
I enjoy it immensely. That's incredible. Every pitcher seems to throw 95 miles an hour. You get a free taco if the Rays pitchers strike out 10, and we get a taco just about every night. So that's fun. Do you actually cash those in? I think from a marketing perspective, I do.
Do you really?
I go to Cane's.
Yeah.
I stand in line. I argue with the woman. She gives me a lot of crap. I show her, hey, I got this ticket. What do you mean you won't give me a coupon?
Yeah. So is it like an umpire arguing with a manager, kind of?
Very much like that. Yes.
Have you gotten thrown out of Cane's yet?
Once.
Okay. It's all right. Did you get fined or anything? Did Manfred have to step in?
No fine.
Okay.
No fine. I just didn't get my taco.
Well, that's why you got to go back to the ballpark, man.
Well, they wanted me to write down the ticket number on the slip before giving me the $2 taco.
Was that worth $2 of your time?
I said to her, if you give me 2 tacos, I'll write the number of the ticket on the slip.
So you didn't get your 2 tacos?
No, she wouldn't do it. No.
We have an investigative team right down the hall here at Arizona's family. I feel like we could get Morgan Lowe.
This is good.
Yeah.
I think this is important.
Tampa for the taco investigation. When was the last time you saw Aaron Judge come to town? Have you seen him hit a home run this year?
Aaron Judge came to town. Last time the Yankees came to town, I honestly don't remember whether he hit a home run, but every time he gets up, I root for the guy.
Yeah,
I think he's a wonderful, wonderful ambassador for the game of baseball.
I mean, it's great. It's got everybody glued to their TV. You are at the Trop watching the Rays, but while that's going on, do you have your phone on anywhere? Are you watching what he's doing every night to see if he hits a home run?
No, I'm not a phone guy. I'm not really a phone guy.
Well, there's still.
No, I have cassette tape recorder and I have a landline. No.
Hey, that worked out pretty well for you covering baseball.
Yeah, no, it works pretty good. I just, I sit at the ballpark and I watch the Gen Z people sitting in front of me, and especially the girls. They sit there for the entire game taking selfies of themselves and putting it on Instagram. It's like, how many pictures can a person actually take of themselves while they're sitting and watching a baseball game? I mean, I don't get it. It's very interesting.
Have you tried taking a selfie of yourself on your landline?
I've tried. It doesn't work.
Okay.
No, and you can't leave me a text either, as you've tried.
I did just try. Well, right. I won't text you tonight if Judge hits.
No, I do have a phone though. I have a phone.
Oh, okay. Well,
yeah, I got one. I mean, you cannot these days get into a baseball game if you don't have a phone.
Is that the reason that you got a phone?
That's the reason. So wow. I called the Rays and I said to them, what do you do if you want to go to the game if you don't have a phone?
And they told you to go buy a phone.
Go buy a phone. They said, go buy a phone. Yes.
And you might get tacos, maybe, if you write out down
the tacos you only can get on your phone. That's the other reason to have a phone, to get your tacos. Yes.
Well, I guess they've all forced us into this new world order. But yeah, it is a new world order, but it is kind of cool that we're connecting Aaron Judge to Roger Maris here. So
definitely,
from your historical perspective and all the work that you've done covering baseball and the Yankees, how significant is this, do you think?
It's incredibly significant. First of all, think of when Roger hit those home runs in 1961. I'm not real good at math, but that's a long time ago. And the other thing is, today, when Roger played and Mickey Mantle, nobody lifted weights. Nobody went to the gym. Nobody went to the, workout room. Mickey was a guy who, when he was 16 years old, he went to the mine in his town of Commerce, and he used a sledgehammer and he busted up rocks. Made him one of the strongest people I've ever known. Today, everybody works out 4 or 5 hours a day to get stronger and faster. So every single pitcher that I see throws 95, 96, 97, and occasionally 100. And for Aaron Judge to be able to hit 60 home runs when the pitchers are throwing 100, 95 to 100 miles an hour at him, that's just amazing. That's just flat out amazing. He does not get, even though he's getting a lot of credit, it's probably not enough credit. He probably deserves more credit. It's incredible. Who's second in home runs in the league? What's he have, 35?
Right. I'm going to have to Google that. Can you Google that on your phone real quick, actually? I don't even know.
You could.
Christian Walker has 35 for the Diamondbacks right now, but
Yeah.
that's in the National League.
Yeah.
That's what we've been following.
I couldn't possibly Google and also, stay in the picture and,
Google and
it's
Zoom.
hard to do two things at once.
Yeah, you could Google, you could Instagram, you could Zoom. Looks like Schwarber's got 40 for the Phillies. Alonso has 37 for the Mets.
National League doesn't count. This is strictly an American League deal.
Yeah, the next is Trout with 36.
That's it. That's the next guy, 36, and he's got 60.
Wow.
So tell me, is there a difference between 60 and 36? You bet there is. What he's doing is fairly amazing.
It's historic for sure. How do you feel like I feel like half the ballpark. Well, first of all, he wasn't playing in front of full ballparks. Maris wasn't. There were some people rooting against him. So Judge kind of does get a lift every time he comes to the plate. The place is going crazy. How do the home run chases compare in your estimation?
Well, don't forget, in 1961, you had two guys chasing Ruth. You had Roger and you had Mickey Mantle. And Mantle had been around since 1951, and he had been booed when he was a kid. But when Roger came in 1960, all of a sudden people decided they liked Mickey better than they liked Roger. Roger was kind of a quiet guy. He didn't like publicity. He didn't like the writers. He didn't like to be bothered. In 61, starting around end of May, he must have been asked 10 times before and after every game, do you think you can beat Babe Ruth's record? And eventually he got really sick of it and really began to resent the reporters. So he would act out, and the reporters would write nasty things about him. And so Mickey became the real favorite there. What happened to Mickey was in September, he had gotten an infection. Well, no, that's not how it started. He had gotten a cold. And so Mel Allen took Mickey to his doctor for a shot. And he gave him a shot in his thigh. And unfortunately, the needle was not sterilized.
Wow.
And his shot became infected to the extent that in a particular game, Mickey was up at bat and he started bleeding right through his pants. And they had to take him out of the game. Mickey had 54 home runs that year when they took him out. And so the last, 15 games of the season, it was only Roger. Mickey was out. And so it was strictly whether Roger Maris could hit 60 home runs or 60, beat Ruth's record of 60. And he did it. He did it against Tracy Stallard. He hit number 61. And you're right. It's astounding to me. Most of the people in the stadium obviously were in right field because they wanted to catch the ball if Roger to hit it. And Roger did hit one there. And the fellow who caught the ball, they paid him $5,000 for that ball. I think today, if he had hit that ball, they would have paid him $1 million for that ball.
Did you see the pile up at Yankee Stadium for 60?
It was fun to watch. Yeah, a lot of fun. I'm surprised they weren't punching each other.
Well, I would imagine 61. I don't know how much that's going to be worth. That's going to be a fun story to watch here.
Well, let's put it this way. Tom Brady threw his last touchdown pass, and somebody, I can't remember whether it was either $100,000 or $1 million. They paid like $1 million for that football. And then 2 months later, Brady unretired, making that football worthless. So, we'll see what happens. There's 61 home runs. If Aaron should hit a 62nd and 63rd home runs, it won't be worth nearly as much.
I was looking for that football since you live in Tampa behind you there. I don't know if you were the one who picked it up.
Oh, absolutely. Sure.
Okay. That should be your next book.
Yeah.
As far as but you sat down and talked to Maris at length, and you've told me a little bit about that story.
For those of you who are curious, I have a book out this year called Whispers of the Gods, which is the sequel to The Glory of Their Times by Larry Ritter. And among the people I interviewed in this particular book were Ted Williams, Stan Musial, Roy Campanella, and Roger Maris. So my entire interview with Roger Maris is in this book. It was fascinating. I had written to Roger and called Roger, and clearly Roger had no interest in talking because he really didn't want to talk about what happened to him. So I went to the beer plant that Roger had in Gainesville, and the brother said, "I'm sorry, he's not here. You can't talk to him." So I figured, DiMaggio was the only one in my book Dynasty who wouldn't talk to me. So I figured Roger was going to be the other one. So I went to see Clete Boyer at his bar, the Golden Glove, right outside of Atlanta. And Clete told me to meet him there at 9 o'clock in the morning at the bar. So I show up at 9 o'clock in the morning sharp, and I'm sitting there drinking coffee while all these former high school beat-up football players drinking beer. And I basically sat there from 9 o'clock in the morning until 9 o'clock at night when Clete Boyer showed up with Roger Maris. Wow. It was amazing. You talk about amazing. That was amazing.
Did you switch to beer at that point? Did you had a couple beers, or were you still drinking coffee?
I was still drinking coffee. I probably should have had a couple beers, but anyhow, so Clete takes Roger and me over to one of the tables and sits us down opposite each other. He says, "I'll be back in a few minutes. I got a few things to do." So I'm sitting with Roger. "Hi, how are you?" That sort of thing. And I'm afraid to ask him whether he'd talk to me, because if he said no, it would sort of ruin the evening. But after about 2 minutes of us sort of looking at each other, he said to me, "How would you like to go outside and we'll talk?" And I said, "You bet." And so I sat on the hood of one of the cars in the parking lot, took out my tape recorder, and we talked for about an hour and 15 minutes. And he was absolutely stunning. It's in this book, Whispers of the Gods, but he talked about the difficulties he had during the year when he was trying to hit 61 home runs, the pressure on him, how he had to not play one particular game because his hair was falling out and the pressure was getting to him. And he also talked about how terribly the Yankees treated him later on. His last year with the Yankees, he slid into home plate and caught his hand on the umpire's spikes and basically broke his hand. The Yankees had him x-rayed and didn't tell Roger that his hand was broken, because in '66, the Yankees were in last place and they wanted Roger to draw fans. So Roger ended up hitting .233 that year, and he found out his hand was broken, and he was absolutely furious. So at the end of the season, he told Ralph Houck, who was the general manager, that he was going to retire. So Ralph said to him, "Raj, wait until the spring. I mean, it doesn't make any difference. Wait till the spring. We'll throw a little, party for you in spring training, and you can announce it then." And Roger said, "Fine." And about 2 weeks later, Ralph Houck traded him to the St. Louis Cardinals. And poor Roger told me he was just absolutely furious, but that he couldn't retire then, because then, in addition to the people in New York hating him, the people in St. Louis would hate him. So he decided he would go to St. Louis. And of course, Maris, being the Hall of Fame ball player that he isn't but should be, led the Cardinals to pennants in 1967 and 1968.
Do you think he ever gets in with the?
Yes, yes, he will get in the same way. Poor Gil Hodges, who for 20 years deserved to get in, and I have no idea why they kept Gil out. Gil only led the Mets to a championship, which is amazing unto itself. But if you look at Gil Hodges' numbers when he played first base for the Brooklyn Dodgers, he absolutely was one of the cogs, one of the important people in all those championships.
So if you had a chance to sit down with Aaron Judge, I don't know if you've already tried to map that out for if you're doing it.
No, they don't let me sit down with anybody.
Yeah. Well,
I'm stuck at home.
Well, we could maybe, start a little campaign here, get you on Instagram.
You could
try to get Peter to Yankee Stadium to interview Aaron Judge. What would you want to ask him when you watch him play? Who does What does that kind of stir in you from a baseball historian perspective?
Well, I'd like to know something about where he came from. You know, how he got along in Little League. Did he go to college? What were some of his successes in Connie Mack ball? You know, that sort of thing. You know, when did you think you had the ability to make it to the big leagues? I mean, when he was a 12-year-old, the guy must have been 6'5". I just imagine what it must have been like to pitch to Aaron Judge when he was 12. Like, whoa.
I'm trying to picture that with my 12-year-old who's maybe 5'2". You know,
right.
See how far the ball would go. Have you seen guys though with his build come through Major League Baseball throughout the years? What's been the difference between somebody who is blessed with that sort of strength but being able to put it together night after night?
The closest that I would come to is one of the Yankees who I knew, Dave Winfield. And it's funny, when I was interviewing Jerry Coleman in San Diego for my book Dynasty back in 1970, I think it was 4. Winfield played his very, very first game. He was a rookie with the San Diego Padres. And when I talked to Winfield later, it turned out that he was star basketball player for the University of Minnesota. He was part of that fight. I don't know if you know about it, but Minnesota and Ohio State had a fight.
Really? No.
Where one of the players got knocked out. I think the Ohio State center was knocked out, punched and knocked out. Winfield was part of that fight. But Winfield could have been a professional basketball player. In fact, he was drafted. And he was also drafted in the NFL as an end, as a football player. And he would have succeeded in both of those places. He was an amazing athlete. I mean, picture Aaron Judge playing basketball for, whoever, or playing, either defensive or offensive end for your Arizona football team. That's pretty good.
The sad part is, though, I feel like guys have to play club ball from the time they're 12, and you don't see athletes like that again. And you don't, the Diamondbacks have gone young and athletic and kind of speedy outfielders. You don't see as many guys like Aaron Judge make it to the big leagues. So is he on, if he does this, is he on a trajectory to potentially get to Cooperstown at some point?
Yeah, you bet. You better believe that he does. I mean, nobody's talking about it. I can't believe that they aren't. But who's leading the American League in hitting? Who's leading the American League in home runs? Who's leading the American League in RBIs? That would be the same guy, Aaron Judge. This guy's going to be, not only is he going to break Roger Maris's record, he's going to be the Triple Crown winner, and he's going to be the most valuable player of the league. So here's a question as owner of the New York Yankees. How much are you going to pay him next year?
How much do you think he's going to get paid?
$400 million.
Does that seem like a decent bargain there for getting the Triple Crown winner who just broke Maris's record in your stadium?
It seems to me that $400 million is a hell of a lot of money.
Does he help the Yankees win a championship in your estimation?
Well, I mean, that's going to depend on Garrett Cole, Nestor Cortez, Talion, and the other, 5 pretty terrific pitchers they have. It's going to be between the Yankees and Houston. I don't think there's much question about that.
When it comes to this summer and specifically this month, is this, everybody's so busy these days, is this one of those months that we're going to look back at and say, man, that was special what Aaron Judge did?
Absolutely. Heck yes. I mean, how many years ago was 1961? We're talking about Roger Maris.
What do you think Roger Maris would say about Aaron Judge? I know you only had that conversation with him that you described to us, but what was his appreciation like for other ball players?
Roger, who was a sweetheart of a guy, would say, "Congratulations, Aaron. Nice going." That's what he would say.
Do you feel like this makes Judge the all-time home run king in the single season?
No. Hell no. Get
Really?
out of here. No. A guy I think his name was Bonds, hit 73. A guy named McGuire hit 70. A guy named Sosa hit 66. If you were sitting there watching, you'd realize those three guys were really special. And, you know, they talk about they shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame because they took whatever they took. I'll tell you what, when the owners who reaped in those hundreds of millions of dollars from the fans who bought tickets those years gives that money back, then you can talk about their not being in the Hall of Fame.
All right. So what's your next book? What's your next perspective here? What are you stewing on here as you head out to the ballpark to watch the Rays?
Well, believe it or not, as you called, I'm typing out the conversation I had with Elston Howard of the Yankees. So the publisher wants what I was calling Whispers of the Gods 2, which they want me to call More Whispers of the Gods.
More whispers.
So I like, you know, Ghostbusters 1, Ghostbusters 2. They think More Whispers of the Gods is more poetic than Whispers of the Gods number 2. That would be Roman numeral number 2.
Yeah, if you put the Roman numeral in there, you're probably in good shape.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, it seems
that's my thinking.
Fancy.
Yeah.
Is there a chance that you're gonna like hop the fence at Yankees spring training and try to go talk to Judge? Like, how do you? Is there?
I would only talk to Judge if somebody gave me a lot of money to do a book with Judge.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I've got no reason. I'm not a newspaper guy. I just write books.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll have a bake sale out here in Phoenix, and
nice.
We'd love to hear your
nice.
perspective.
I went to a wedding in Phoenix. I had just a wonderful time.
Yeah. Where'd you
My
go?
friend Mike Lurie got married in Phoenix, and we were all wearing light blue best men suits, and we went riding horses out into the desert, which was a lot of fun.
Did you wear a bolo tie and like a cowboy hat too?
I wanted to, but no. And the other thing about Phoenix that I really loved was the museum. It was Western art. And the Museum of Western Art in Phoenix is absolutely stunning.
The Heard Museum downtown?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I never forgot it. It was just brilliant.
All right. Well, we got to get back at it for spring training. And if we come up with the funds, we'd love to hear a conversation between you and Judge.
Okay. Sounds great.
All right. Thanks for the perspective. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. Take care.
The Extra Point Podcast is a production of 3TV, CBS 5, and azfamily.com in Phoenix, Arizona.